Welcome, friends. You're listening to the Swears and Does Hair podcast for bridal hairstylists and makeup artists looking to take their business to new levels. Here we tackle topics such as mindset, finances, balancing business with motherhood, and healthy strategies to keep your body and mind supporting your business rather than holding it back. I'm your host, Sue Minsky, business coach for bridal artists and creator of the Next Level Bridal Business Program. Thanks for joining me. I can't wait to dig into today's topic, so let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Swears and Does Hair podcast. I'm your host, Sue Minsky, and this week we are talking all about content. How to create content for social media, whether that's Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, but putting things out there in social media that convert. And what that means is brides are seeing you as the authority and the solution to their problems, and they are moving forward in the booking process with you. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about conversions. I'm talking about somebody coming into your world, seeing you as the expert, wanting to know if you're available. And then when they find out that you are, they're like, all right, this is the person that I need to be working with for my wedding. Let's get this done. So there's different stages of the buying process you may have heard me talk about inside of my course, Next Level Bridal Business, or some of my other content that I put together on social media. But there's these different stages within the buying process, and putting out more effective content helps moves brides through those buying processes. So when you put out content that is more effective, you need less content in order to see the same level of results. So that means you can get off this content, hamster wheel of constantly going through and cranking out all of these posts and reels and captions and stories and having to be so present online all the time and still see the same level of results. So you don't need as much of it. So you can buy back so much more of your time in your business and be able to serve your clients one-on-one versus serving an audience online and being glued to your phone all the time. So we're going to be talking this week about more effective content that you put together for your social media in order to see these results, days, weeks, months, years down the line without constantly being glued to your phone creating content. So, the very first thing that you need to do is you really need to understand the needs of your dream brides, the audience that you want to be converting, the people that you want to be speaking to. People make the mistake of trying to be way too broad in their marketing, and they're just trying to focus on brides in their area versus dream brides in their area that are wanting to work with them on a date that they are available. There is a way that you can shift your content, shift your messaging to talk to those people. Those are the people that don't really need the convincing. If you're out there trying to convince people that you are worth it, that luxury should cost XYZ, blah blah blah, you're trying to convince your audience that you're worth it. It doesn't come across as very confident. It comes across a little bit whiny. I've talked about this before in other episodes, episodes 54, 55, those last couple of episodes that I was doing, really talking about standing out on social media, all those kinds of things. So we want to get away from trying to convince our audience. We want to come from a place of confidence, from a place of authority, from a place of value of look what I do, look why I'm so good. Now let's get this going. Let's move forward. Let's book. Okay, so when you can shift that message, you're able to speak to those people who already understand and already value what you have to offer. It just comes down to at that point, are you the person to be able to fulfill their needs? And are you available on their date. Okay. So you really need to understand your dream bride for this. You can't just go out there and just start talking to people because your dream brides are going to be watching and listening and reading, and they're not going to feel connected. When your audience feels connected to you, when they see themselves reflected in your content, then they trust that you are actually the person that can fulfill their needs. If you're just talking about brides, yeah, they're a bride, in Chicago or Philadelphia or LA or whatever, but they're not necessarily feeling like, oh, she understands me. She knows what I need and she can give that to me. So you have to understand, well, what does my dream bride want? What does she actually need? Okay. And that takes a little bit of work, a bit of a deep dive into understanding the psyche of your dream brides. How highly does she value hair and makeup? Is she somebody that puts a lot of emphasis on it, or is she somebody who puts emphasis on the convenience of having hair and makeup? Okay, because those are two completely different mindsets. This is just one example that I'm giving you on why it's really important to understand what your dream bride's needs are so that you can shift your messaging to be like, well, this is what's important to you. So here's how I give you what's important to you. If you have a bride who is highly valuing hair and makeup, she wants to look and she wants to feel like the best version of herself and glamorous. Well, then that's the kind of things that you want to talk about inside your content and your captions. Those are the things that you want to showcase in your reels. How do you make her feel and look like the best version of herself? Or are you the kind of person who makes it super easy and super convenient? They don't have to worry about anything. You have all of these resources already put together with inspiration. You talk about how easy you make the booking process. You can take one thing off their plate. You're like a concierge service. You have, recommendations for hair and for makeup and all of these other resources and all of these other things. You see how these are two different needs and how you can talk about how you satisfy these needs for these brides. Um, Personally, my clients wanted to look like the best version of themselves, but what they were really attracted to about me is my level of organization and how easy I made the booking process, how easy I made the whole start to finish process, how organized everything was for them. So they didn't even have to think about it. They didn't have to worry about it. It was kind of like I was a little mini wedding planner for them for this little subsection of what they were planning for their wedding day. For the whole beauty piece, it was like, okay, I was not trying to take the brides who are really into makeup and really into beauty, and they're sitting there either trying to micromanage what I'm doing or they already have a very specific idea of what they want. I was able to come from a place of, hey, I've been doing this for forever. You can put total faith and trust in me, and I'm going to make you look and feel beautiful. And you're not going to have to really worry about, the end result. I can take care of all of that for you. So they were coming to me with a different need. They weren't these like high maintenance glamour beauty people. They were still um, very willing to pay a high cost, a luxury price tag to look beautiful on their wedding day. They still were like, no, I mean, I'm willing to pay a couple $100s to have my hair and my makeup done and pay these luxury rates for my bridal party and do the same thing for my mom, so she can have the luxury of the peace of mind and stuff like that. That's what their value was, on peace of mind for the piece of beauty in the whole planning process. So I was able to really market to those people, and they saw me and they saw my content and they saw everything that I did, and they were instantly attracted to me as an artist because they were like, this person checks all the boxes for me. So you really need to understand your dream bride and what boxes she needs you to be checking. Okay. So that is really kind of like step one. Finding your dream bride, what are her needs, identifying them, and then you need to kind of like list those things out. Okay, so next on the list, once you've identified what your dream bride's needs are, now it's time to start putting together some content about how you uniquely are qualified and how you can help her satisfy those needs. So we know what the needs are. Is she somebody who is looking for, like that ease and that convenience? Is she looking for somebody who is going to listen to her? Is she looking for somebody who can help her overcome her prom trauma or past bad experiences? Is she looking for somebody who can work specifically with her skin tone or her facial features or her hair type or her hair texture? How are you able to say, yes, I can satisfy these needs, I can take these things for you and make them a reality? Well, you do that by telling stories about past clients who you satisfied those needs for. So understanding what the needs are comes first. So then you can take a look at past experiences, past interactions with brides and say, okay, the brides that I want to work with are very concerned about somebody being able to match their skin tone. Okay. So you want to start talking about experiences where you had other brides who had that same concern and the wonderful result that they were able to get after working with you. And what you can do is kind of take a look at some of your frequently asked questions and be like, well, what are the concerns that people have? This will help you with step one, with identifying what her needs are, and then look back and be like, okay, what clients have I worked with where I could either give them, the review or the photos, or I can just tell a story. Inside of Visibility Factor, my Instagram marketing course, which is really just a basic marketing 101, because the entire principles to it are everything that I'm kind of talking about now, identifying your client needs and how to create content that speaks to that. That's just basic marketing 101. But I put it into the format of, okay, here's how to do that for Instagram, and then here's how to use the different features more effectively on Instagram. But if Instagram were to go away tomorrow, you'd be able to take everything that you learned inside that course and put it into Facebook or put it into Instagram or put it into Snapchat or whatever new social media app kind of becomes the app du jour. But basically, what you're going to kind of be doing is, this is the story that I have to tell. This is the client. This is what her concern was. Here's how I helped her. And you can do that in a variety of different ways. You can do that by showing it in photos. You can do it by showing it in videos. You can do it by talking about it inside of captions, voiceovers for videos. Maybe this is an example that you don't even realize that this is what people are doing and you're just kind of copying it when you're posting on Instagram. But those reels where it's like the hairstylist is kind of like they're combing through the back of the bride's hair, and they're kind of like pulling it up and whatever, and they're like, the bride asked for, low clean texture, blah 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 blah, that's what she asked for. And then they do some kind of transition or clips or whatever, and then they show the end result. Here is what she got. That is a way to use a story visually to say, this is what my client's needs are. This is how I solved that for them. So it doesn't always have to be physically telling a story. Sally came to me with this problem and this is how I solved it for her. Although those are great stories to give, either in blogs or captions or voiceovers or whatever. Okay, so when you're talking about past client stories, it doesn't always necessarily just have to be like a physical story. It can be the transformation, and you can be creative in the different ways that you present it so that it doesn't feel flat, so that it doesn't feel like repeated all of the time, that you're like, okay, this is you know, this is what she needed and this is how I helped her. Okay, so that's going to set you up as the authority. They're going to be able to see those solutions, and the solutions are coming from you, so they put the two together and they're like, okay, this person is able to make my needs satisfied, to make my dreams come true. The the artist is the right artist for me, kind of thing. And then the third step is kind of really where we're putting all of this together. And what it's actually called is called problem awareness content. We're taking it a little bit step further and helping the bride self-identify, okay, that they have the same needs. So there's the more passive method with, just showing the stories and things like that. And then there's a little bit more active where we create content that actually helps the audience and these dream brides self-identify. So this is a lot of what I'm talking about in this month's Masterclass Magic. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in a little commercial, so to speak, for you right now to tell you a little bit about what Masterclass Magic is, if you haven't heard me talk about it or if you haven't seen me post about it on my Instagram before. But that is what we're talking about this month in the content planning masterclass. We're talking about how to create specific content that helps clients self-identify and helps move them through the buying process. If you love the podcast, you'll love the Masterclass Magic series. Each month, I break down a new topic to help you grow your bridal business and provide you with the practical step-by-step actions to get you results. It's free for a full year with Next Level Bridal Business, but you can join the membership individually for just $27 a month right now. You can cancel at any time. For a full list of the current classes included, as well as upcoming topics for the rest of 2023, click the link in the description and get started today. Or you can check out the Masterclass Magic highlight on my Instagram at Beauty Biz Collective for more in-depth info on each of the topics covered. Okay, so when it comes to creating this content, how do you do it? What do you need to do to put these things together, to create these reels or these captions and this content bank and things like that? Well, first of all, you need to grab your collateral, and that is going to be your images, your videos, or any graphics that you create. So if you create something inside of Canva to make some pretty templates that help your brides self-identify, here's a problem that you might have and here's how I solve it, et cetera, et cetera. You need to put all of those things together. So that way, when it comes time to post, you're not sitting there staring at your phone going, oh my God, how do I put all of this together now? How do I do it? You're able to be like, okay, I have videos and I have photos and I have these graphics, and now I can create some captions to go with it, or I can create the text bubbles that go up inside of your reels, et cetera, et cetera. So putting together all of your collateral is going to be step one for the physical creation process of this. Now, to do it really effectively, you're going to want to use some specific terms inside of the writing portion of it, whether it is a reel and you put text bubbles up there, if you're using a voiceover and you're putting your captions underneath it, or you are writing a caption for the post itself. You want to do what's called message mining, and you want to dig into, again, that psyche of your dream bride. You want to understand how she views the problem. As hairstylists, as makeup artists, we use different terms than what our clients may use. A prime example is volume. Okay. What's volume to one bride may not be volume to another. I always ask clients, how much volume are you looking for your hair? And then I give them a scale. I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being sleek, flat, tight to the head, 5 being like big old Texas beauty queen hair. And they're usually like, okay, my clients fall somewhere around a 2 or a 3. They want some volume, but they don't want big, huge, visible volume. They don't want to see it too far from their head. It's not how they wear their hair on a regular basis, and they don't want to feel too far off from how they normally look and feel. That's my clientele. Other people might be like, oh no, the bigger the better. I want a lot of volume. I want a lot of teasing. I want a lot of texture, whatever. Okay. So volume is a pretty standard word. Intellectually, we understand what volume is, but our definition of how much is enough or what our clients are looking for are going to be different. Same thing with like natural makeup, okay? To some makeup artists, that might mean very skin-like texture, a satin finish versus a matte finish or a glowy finish, minimal products. To a client, natural might just mean very neutral tones, but they still want a full glam look. If you're a makeup artist, you've probably run into that before, where somebody shows you, I want a natural look, and it's actually like this full glam beat, and it's like a lot of freaking makeup, and you're like, that is not natural. And you have to be using the same terms. So we want to go through how our clients speak about their problems. So if we're going to help them self-identify the problems, we need to use the same words that our clients use. Okay. So how you're going to do this, you're basically going to comb through the frequently asked questions that you get in your emails and things that you go over in your consultations. And think about it from your dream brides. Don't just go through anybody and everybody. If somebody doesn't fall into the category of being a dream client that you want to duplicate, don't use their words. Don't use the feedback from them, because when you use the feedback from imperfect clients, you're going to replicate more imperfect clients. Okay. This is one thing why I see so many people in like Facebook groups and they frustrate the shit out of me, because they will be like, I had this situation with this bride, and they don't ever want to hear that, well, maybe you fucked up and there's maybe something that you need to do differently next time in order to not see this problem again. They just want the whole community to come in and give them like a virtual pat on the back and just be like, it's okay. Okay. She was just a crazy bitch. You did everything right, and it's her, it's not you. Where it's like, okay, well, if you had this problem, what in your process do you need to change so that you don't have the same problem happen again? So it's the same kind of thing. If you're not getting the type of clients that you want, you got to change something. You got to shift your messaging. You need to shift your marketing. You need to shift how you speak about things so that you are attracting the right people, so that you are able to get the brides that you want in your business. Because if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting the same results. All right. I think that's like some meme or something. It's like, oh, the definition of insanity, I think it is, or it's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You want a different bride coming into. You want somebody who is not going to question your rates, who's going to move through the process quickly, follow directions, read what they're told, do things on time. Like, you need to talk to her already like she's the one that's listening. Forget everybody else that's listening. Forget everybody else that's liking your posts. If they're not a dream bride, their like is irrelevant. Their follow is irrelevant. Their share is irrelevant. Yes, it helps the algorithm, but the algorithm is just going to find more people like them. Focus on the dream brides so you can replicate them. Use the words that they're using, use the phrases that they are using. How are they speaking about their problems? Are they coming in and saying, I want clean texture? No, clients probably aren't going to be talking about clean texture. All right. What words are they actually using to describe the hairstyles that they want? What type of words are they actually using to describe the makeup looks that they want? What are the words that they're using to describe the wedding morning that she wants to have, and the vibe that she's looking for, and what she's looking for from a hairstylist or from a makeup artist? This is a huge component to the very beginning of my other mini course called Unique as Fuck. And we do a real big deep dive. There's a whole like worksheet and everything for you to fill out. There's like 3 different modules where I talk about different questions to ask yourself about your dream bride to help you identify all of these things. And one of the big parts is, understanding how she speaks about things. What words does she use in different situations? Because when you know what words she's using, then when she sees you use those words, she's going to understand what you're talking about, and she's going to identify with them. And those are the search terms that she's going to be putting into Google and finding your website. They're the words that she's going to put into search on Instagram and on Facebook and on Pinterest. These are the things that she's looking for. So you need to identify what they are so you can put them into your marketing. When you put all of these pieces together, when you put something out there, yes, the algorithm might say that it only has a shelf life of 24 hours or whatever bullshit they're trying to feed you right now. Content can continue to work for you for months. I don't care what people say. If you have ever posted something on Instagram before and a bride comes to you in a trial and shows you that photo, and it's something that you posted 6, 8, 9 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, it is still working for you. It may not be drawing in new eyes, but it is reinforcing the message to the eyes that matter. Okay, that's what I really want to drive home, what I really want you to understand. And I really want to help take a lot of this pressure off of posting on Instagram, okay, and creating all of this content. It is quality over quantity. Okay, same thing with growing and building your business. I hate the hustle mentality where people are like, oh, I'm new, I need to hustle, 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 hustle. All that does is set you up for failure later on. All that does is build up your tolerance for an unsustainable lifestyle. So that by the time you either decide, okay, now I'm good enough to take a step back, or I'm making enough money to take a step back, or you just fucking burn out, you have now built up this expectation for how you need to perform and how you need to run your business based off of hustling. And then you take that step back and suddenly you feel like a failure, or you're filled with all of this anxiety because you're so used to running your business in this unsustainable way. And now you're like, well, I can't keep up with this anymore. This is no longer sustainable for me. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I don't know any other way. So you need to have sustainable systems to build and to grow your business so that every time you are getting bigger and growing better and making more money and booking more brides and raising your rates, everything is at a sustainable pace. Okay, you can keep up that momentum, and then you get to decide when you want to take things to the next level. All right, versus just being like, I'm just going to fucking work myself to death. And at some point, indeterminate, the universe is going to step in and say, okay, now you're good enough. How are you going to know? Most of the time, it's the universe stepping in and saying, hi, this is called burnout, and you hate your job right now. You love your job, you love what you do, but you hate actually doing it right now. It fills you with anxiety, it fills you with dread, okay? And it's making you tired, and it's sapping all of the benefit and the joy of being your own business owner. That's burnout. And that's where a lot of people are right now. It's where a lot of people are in the industry. And part of it is because they're putting so much fucking pressure on themselves to crank out content instead of being sustainable, instead of creating a strategy and, a system to put out content that actually helps their business in the long term versus just give them an instant spike in the algorithm, a dopamine hit of a bunch of likes or follows, or a bunch of new eyeballs on their page who may or may not actually be quality clients. Let's focus on filling our funnels with quality over quantity, because quality is what is sustainable. Okay. Like breeds like. All right. You fill your funnel with quality brides, they are going to draw in more people like them. Instagram's algorithm is AI, okay? It's artificial intelligence. Our lives are filled with artificial intelligence attracting more of what we are looking for, okay? And so if we put out into the artificial intelligence, into that algorithm, this is what I am looking for, find me more of it, it will do the work for us. We don't have to try so hard. Okay, so that is what this week's topic was about. I hope you found it really helpful. I want to leave you with a few little final thoughts, but first, I will be back after a quick break from this week's sponsor. So, if you're listening to the podcast in real time, you'll know that this is not the actual date that it says that it was released, because I have recently been super sick and completely lost my voice. So, while I was sick, I didn't have new podcast episodes coming out, but thankfully, due to the beauty of technology, I can go ahead and I can release these and I can backdate them without having to redo my whole process. But I did want to take a few seconds to kind of talk about what helped me feel a lot better in my recent sickness. So I was super, super sick and really, really dehydrated. And so when I was having to do a wedding suddenly, one of the things that I always make sure that I carry with me on all of my wedding days is some packets of liquid IV. They're always sitting there in my purse and anytime I travel. So I had to do a wedding after having been sick for like a week and a half, and I had to spend the night in DC the night before. And then I had to go and stand for like 5 or 6 hours and do the wedding, and then get in the car and drive up to my cousin's wedding in Connecticut from DC. So that was like a 7-hour drive. So here I was, like super sick, and I was talking to my best friend, and she was just like, oh my God, what you need is you need liquid IV. She's like, that's what helped me feel better after I got my COVID boosters and stuff like that. She's just like, I felt really, really sick, and the only thing that made me feel better was drinking a liquid IV. And I was like, girl, and I pulled out this little Ziploc baggie, and I already had like 3 or 4 packets in there. And it's something that I bring with me all the time. So then I got an opportunity to have this week's episode actually sponsored by Liquid IV. And I was like, oh my God, this is kind of like the perfect timing. It's something that I use in my regular life all the time. I like that one stick of it is like 3 bottles worth of water of hydration. It's really, really fantastic. I just like that I can drink more water and it tastes really good, because I know that's one thing that like really holds a lot of people back. And also, I don't have to drink as much of it to still get the hydration benefits. It's also one of the things that I always make sure to take with me when I am going to like theme parks. So it's summertime. We go to a lot of theme parks. We go to a lot of water parks and things like that. And liquid IV is the one thing that I always take with me, that's in my bag. And then I bring an empty water bottle and I refill it at the water fountains and add a stick of liquid IV. And that way I'm rehydrating my body without having to chug as much water. And I don't have to worry about suddenly needing to go to the bathroom when I'm waiting in these long lines, at the water parks. So liquid IV is a huge part of my regular life, and I really love the product. So let's talk a little bit about what this means for you guys, because I have paired up with Liquid IV, and you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and you use the code swears and does hair at checkout. So you're going to get 20% off of anything you order when you shop. Better hydration today using promo code swears and does hair at liquidiv.com. You can also go to today's show link notes, and I will have the code and I will have the link listed for you there as well. I highly recommend the watermelon, the strawberry, and the pina colada flavors. Those are my favorites, although my husband and my boys love the lemon lime flavor. So whether you are going to the water parks or theme parks or anything else this summer, I will definitely be carrying it with me when we have to fly in a few weeks to Scotland, and I'll be taking that with me as well. Or just on wedding days, to help you drink more water and help you stay hydrated when you're on your feet for long hours. Okay. It has 5 essential vitamins, and you get 2 times faster hydration than water alone. Okay. So one little packet, you can just put it into a bottle of water, shake it up. And like I said, they have a bunch of different flavors. I haven't tried the new sea berry or the new strawberry lemonade yet, but they have Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, tropical punch, watermelon, strawberry, passion fruit, guava, acai berry. They do some like temporary ones where they do like limited edition ones in the fall. A while back, they had an apple pie one. I still had some of that left over, and I actually drank it this morning because I knew I had to record a couple of podcast episodes from the last few days, or excuse me, the last few weeks, to get kind of things back on track with the podcast. So thank you so much, Liquid IV, for the 20% off for today's audience. Okay, so remember, you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and enter the code swears and does hair. All right, now back to the rest of the episode. Okay, final thoughts for this week's episode. Brides are more educated than ever, okay? They want to spend their money on the people that they see have the most value for them. It's not just about the skill, but it is also about the benefits that they provide. They want people who make their lives easier and carry a low degree of risk. Now, what do I mean by risk? I mean that you are showcasing that you have the expertise to meet their needs, that you are reliable, that you communicate effectively. And by putting out content that showcases these things, you're reducing the amount of risk that they see in signing a contract and giving you their money. Why we see people a little bit more hesitant to sign contracts and taking longer than they have in years past is because in 2020, 2021, and 2022, we were so impacted by COVID that people lost a lot of money when planning their weddings. So now brides are more educated. They've seen what their friends and family members have gone through over the last 3 years, and they're less willing to take higher risks. They also don't have as much disposable income right now just because of the way that the economy is. So if you only have so much money to spend, why are you going to fuck around and find out whether this person is actually what they say they are? people can lie on the internet. Take a look at like Chat GPT and all of these AI image generators. Okay. People don't even actually have to be real humans in these photos. You can have a computer make a picture of a bride for you. It can actually come out pretty freaking good. Okay. There are filters galore. Cell phones can take photos almost as good as professional cameras. All right. There's a lot that people can do to make them look like they're really good at hair and makeup. And brides are finding that out. Brides are getting burned by people who said that they were a pro and actually aren't. All right. So they're hearing these horror stories. They may have experienced them before. All right. So they're less hesitant to be like, okay, I trust you. Let's move forward. So you really have to up your game when it comes to showcasing I am trustworthy, not just skilled. I am trustworthy. Investing your hard earned money with me for your wedding is low risk. Okay. There's a ton of different things that you can do to help um, lower their perception of risk of investing with you, but by really showcasing the benefits, the value in your expertise, in your content, as soon as they find your business, they're subconsciously going to be flooded with all of these messages of this is low risk, this is high benefit, this is high value, this is worth it. And then the last little kind of piece of the puzzle is kind of like the urgency, why they need to move forward now. But that's something that I totally cover inside of the content planning in this month's masterclass magic. Okay, so let's move on to today's affirmation. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull out my little paper here. I have to write these things down. Most of the time when I'm going through the podcast, like if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me kind of like looking around a little bit because one, I have little sticky notes kind of like up all over the place to remind myself like, okay, this is tip 1, tip 2, tip 3, whatever. These are what final thoughts are. Here's who this week's sponsor is. This is blah, 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 blah. All those little things. I also have like my cell phone trying to film vertical, and I have my camera connected to my computer filming horizontal, and all of these things. But my affirmations are kind of on the longer side and they don't fit on a sticky note. So here we go. This week's affirmation: I do not have to live and die by trends in social media or the whims of the economy and world events. I can take control of my marketing message to showcase my unique value so that I'm consistently booking dream brides. Okay, let's do it again. I want you to repeat after me. This is going to be like, during a wedding ceremony. I recently went and my cousin got married, and I did the hair and makeup, and I got to be one of the people sitting there in the audience and the guests and watching or whatever. And the woman who was the officiant for their ceremony, like, read out this really long sentence, and my cousin was just kind of like, you're going to need to go a lot slower. We're going to need to kind of like break it up. And I think by like the third time she said that to her, the woman was like, I'm just going to say a few words at a time and you repeat after me. So let's try it that way. Alana, this is in honor of you. I do not have to live and die by trends in social media. I do not have to live and die by trends in social media or the whims of the economy and world events. I can take control of my marketing message to showcase my unique value so that I am consistently booking dream brides. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening this week on the podcast and for watching on YouTube. I would love if you can leave me some feedback on this week's episode. You can leave a review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. You can send me a DM on Instagram, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can go ahead and you can leave me some feedback in the comments section. Thank you again so much, and I will see you back next week. thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you feel empowered, knowledgeable, and capable of handling anything that your business throws your way. Don't forget to subscribe to get access to new episodes as they are released here on YouTube, or tune in on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for the latest conversations. Love today's episode? Let me know. Leave me a comment and tell me what your biggest takeaway was from the conversation. Have a request for a future topic or someone you'd like to hear me interview? Find me on Instagram at BeautyBizCollective and drop me a DM. And if you're hungry for more actionable content to help you grow your bridal business, click the link in the description below this video to sign up for my free on-demand training to learn how to book better quality brides faster, easier, and with less stress. See you next time.